This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy James.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is Ken Pyro, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J. And it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Ken Pyro. How are you today, Ken?
I'm fine. I'm good. Bit tired because we had a show yesterday, but I'm doing well, thanks.
That's great. And can you tell us what you have coming up, event-wise?
At the moment, I don't really have plans because I'm going to travel to Brazil, and I will spend a longer time there. Maybe I will go to Argentina and be on a show there, but it is not confirmed yet, and I really don't know my schedule as well, so I will see. But the show where I'm scheduled to be will be in Budapest end of November, and another one in Hungary, in northern Hungary, beginning of December.
Okay. And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
Mostly I'm active on Instagram, so that's what I use on primary basis. I'm not really into social medias, but I would say Instagram is the place to see more information.
Okay, and your merchandise?
My merchandise is being sold locally at the venues in Budapest under the promotion of HCW, Hungarian Championship Wrestling, and also another one, a promotion in Northern Hungary, which is called Extreme Wrestling Promotion. So mostly these two.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. And all of the links to all of your social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Alright, let's get into it. You work for Hungarian Championship Wrestling and XPW. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
The relationship is very good because pro wrestling all started in HCW, I would say circa 14 years ago. And basically all those guys came from that promotion. So the promoter for XWP is also a person who was in HCW, and the relationship is very good because the wrestlers in Hungary go to both promotions always. So the cooperation is very good. There's another promotion in Hungary called Passion Pro, and also all these free promotions have a good cooperation, and so I would say they have a very good relationship.
Okay. And obviously, you're in Hungary. I just was interested to know, like, when it comes to pro wrestling, like, what's the culture like? Is the crowd loud? Are they more into the athletics? Are they more into the story?
Yeah, it's a good question, because you're talking about Central Europe, and pro wrestling did not have a culture here like in other places of the world. So if you think about obviously United States or UK or Japan, pro wrestling there has a very strong root, like a basis. But here, basically the whole pro wrestling thing had to be built up from ground zero. And I would say that the progression was a very interesting thing to see, because right now HCW is like I would say on a mainstream level. So the promotion is in television. There are episodes for television and YouTube, but before that it was not like that. But the other promotion called XWP is still a younger promotion, and therefore I see the transition in that promotion is still where HCW was a few years back. And the reason I'm saying this, because when pro wrestling had to be established here, then most of the times, I'm not saying that all the matches and that every show, but we had to go hardcore many times.
Okay.
Because this was the thing that got the attention of the people. Because many people didn't know what this is or had wrong ideas about it. So hardcore was the way to sort of bring the attention on pro wrestling. And slowly from that, the transitioning went into more like storyline based wrestling. And the people, the crowd, I would say they are diverse, but mostly I would say that this is for the younger people. So I would say that we have many people in their teens or in their 20s, 30s. But still the crowd is diverse. I would say that, yes, they're loud because they enjoy it very much, especially if there's a good storyline involved. So actually they can attach to the stories and to the wrestlers and their personas very good, and they give very good reaction. But this had to be created. So this is actually the result of 14 years of work, hard work.
Okay, I gotcha. Interesting. Now, you've actually wrestled WWE alumni Alexender Wolf. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yes, it was this year, and I can say that Alexender Wolf or Axel Tischer was my biggest opponent so far, and it was a huge experience. I still remember like every minute of that day, how we were preparing for the show, how it all went down. So it was a very good experience. Well, he's a veteran, so he has many matches behind himself, and he just, way ahead of everyone else. So for me, it was a huge opportunity, and I'm very grateful to Art of Wrestling for this, because they were the ones who made this happen. This is a promotion in Czech Republic. So yeah, it was a huge experience for me.
Is that a moment you take in the moment, or is that something that kind of sets in afterwards, like, wow, I did this?
Well, when the matches are announced, then I already have this mindset that I'm thinking about it way too much.
Okay.
So it's like I'm thinking about the ideas, I'm thinking about how things would go. So by the time I actually get there, it happens so fast that actually the match itself, it's nothing compared to the time that precedes, the build-up time that precedes the match, and even the aftermath that is after the match when we rewatch the match and sort of like consume like what went down and what we did. So yeah, I would say this.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, you wrestled for Slam Wrestling in Finland against Johnny McMetal. What was it like traveling to, wrestling in Finland? And tell us about Johnny McMetal.
Yes, this was my most recent match that I had abroad. Actually, I think it was like 3 weeks ago or so, and yes, I've known Starbuck for a few years now, and Finland was always a bucket list country for me. So not just wrestling wise, but I also wanted to visit it, and I really wanted to connect the two together. And when I got the opportunity, then I went to Helsinki and participated at Slam Wrestling. The experience was very good. The crew there at the promotion at Slam, they are all very professional and nice people, nice guys. And yeah, Johnny McMetal is also a very, very good guy, chill dude. Actually, we were like going together to the show and also leaving together because I had to catch a plane back to Budapest. But it was a very good experience. So the match was very smooth. I enjoyed it, and I came home with a very, very good memories and very good experience.
That's great. Crowd-wise, how was it different wrestling in Finland compared to Budapest?
I would say that one of the challenges that I faced was that I was working babyface, and I haven't been working babyface for years now, and I just really got used to the fact that I'm a heel, because right now in Hungary I am one.
Right.
So this was the only thing that, you know, sort of was different for me. But I couldn't really see the whole show. So I didn't see the other matches. I didn't see the other guys wrestle because we were the first match, and after the first match we had to leave. So I cannot really say that how they do things different there show-wise than we do it in Hungary.
I gotcha. And you mentioned, you are a heel. It sounds like you're not looking, like going back to babyface anytime soon.
Well, who knows? No one knows. Actually, it's, something that you cannot be ready for. So, you can go to different places. You might never know where you will end up and how you're gonna wrestle. So I don't know. Maybe soon I'm gonna have a turn.
Okay. Well, can you tell us about your tag team partner in Blood Money, Moza Rolan?
Yes, Blood Money right now is a stable. There are 6 people actually in it. And my tag team partner, whose in-ring name is Stab, he is a fresh wrestler, but a very good one. He is very good in the ring. And the thing I like most about him is his personality and attitude, because he's a very positive guy backstage, which is very important if you have to work together with people. Then the attitude and the positivity of the person just adds, basically it adds more to your team, and also the way how you feel and how you go out and how you wrestle and how you deliver the match.
Okay. And what's an interesting thing about his personality that you just don't understand?
I wouldn't say I don't understand, but it is basically the fact that, if someone comes in with a good mood, then you already have set the mood for the match as well and for the show. And I think this is important.
Okay. And he has a good mood going into matches?
Sorry?
And that's, he has a good mood going into matches?
Yes, like a positive attitude for it.
Okay. Well, another, country that you've wrestled in, Japan, one of the big five, I would say, for Tokyo
Yes.
Championship Wrestling. Can you tell us about your experience wrestling in Japan?
Well, Japan was, I would say, the highlight of my career. It was in 2020, and I think it's obvious that I can call it the biggest experience like I ever encountered. I went there with my opponent, who is also Hungarian, and we wrestled for 3 promotions. And this bigger promotion, the biggest one that we wrestled in, Tokyo Championship Wrestling, which is promoted and owned by Jimmy Suzuki, was the last show that happened. We spent there more than 2 weeks, and we have some unforgettable moments there, meeting people, being around with people in the locker room, outside, like going on guest different kind of shows and dinners, with some really famous people. Experience-wise, it was top ahead. Like, it was something like I never imagined I would have. So those 2 weeks were really magical for me. Mostly because, like, Finland, Japan was also a country where I always wanted to go, and wrestling in Japan is really something that I think is important for everyone, at least once in a life, for experience, for just for the fact that you learn new things. And I would say that meeting people like Dan Severn or Taka Michinoku or Yoshitatsu, and being on the same card as them and getting feedbacks and advices from them was something which was, which was very important, and it gave a lot to me.
How is it wrestling in Japan compared to Hungary?
Well, they have a different approach for it, a very different mindset when it comes to building up your match. They like to go with the flow more. So I would say that the place where the show is and the environment where the match happens is a huge factor as well. And of course, the strong style itself, which is something that Japanese are known for.
Of course.
Strong style is a very important part of pro wrestling there. So it was much more challenging physically as well.
And obviously, Japan. What are you eating in Japan?
What was I eating in Japan?
Yes.
Only Japanese food. All day, all night, only Japanese food because I love it.
What was the best ramen you had in Japan then?
I would say that some good ramen, and one of my favorites was the katsudon, which is like roasted pork with rice and eggs. So Japanese food is just the best in the world.
I hope I'm pronouncing their name right. Can you tell us about your hatred for Erik Strange?
Erik Tuzinski, Erik Strange.
Yes.
Yeah. He is a Slovak professional wrestler. And I would say that one of my favorite matches was against him. We had a very strong and also long rivalry together. So the feud was going on for 4 months, and the build-up was so great that when the match happened, the atmosphere was so good that I don't even remember when I felt that good in a match ever before. He was a babyface, and the thing was that he brought all his friends and family from his hometown, and I was a heel, and this just created such a good chemistry, and his fans just did an excellent job. That match was actually, I think, like few weeks or maybe a month before I was going to Japan. So these two things happened like right after each other. What I think about Erik is that he's a very talented wrestler. He's a true professional, and I wish that he would return to the ring, and that if we could wrestle one more time at least.
Okay. Now, one thing I found interesting is your finisher, the cutter. You don't necessarily do it the DDP way. You get some distance in it. You do the Randy Orton type way. Could you tell us about what kind of went into you developing your cutter?
Yes. The thing is that we could say that the RKO is perhaps the most famous finisher. But when I was at training, I would say 2015, 16, so those years, we had to establish finishers and moveset. But many finishers were already being used, so I had to come up with something, and as strange as it sounds, nobody was using the cutter. Even though it was a very famous move and everyone loved it, no one was really using it. So this is how I got it, basically, and I've been sticking around with the cutter. The way I do it is obviously because of the Randy Orton influence. I think it looks very good. But other than the cutter, I use also a finisher, which is basically a curb stomp variation. I would say that as a heel, I do this more at the moment, but I still keep the cutter as well.
Okay. Now I think it's time for Ken's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
We went to London. We were supposed to have a match, and eventually we did the match. It was in the very first years when I started appear on shows. And the thing that happened was that we wanted to find a cheaper hotel somewhere outside of the center of the city. And what happened was that we went there. It was actually 4 of us, 4 Hungarian guys. And I think it was already midnight, so pretty late. And someone was knocking on the door, and it was the police. And they said that the owner of the house, who was using it for booking or Airbnb, whatever, was actually a criminal, and the police were looking for him. And he actually fled the country. So we had to leave the hotel and we had to sleep outside. I think we went to McDonald's or somewhere, and then some terminals where we spent the night. But that was a pretty wild start because that was the very first trip that we did to a foreign country. But it was still memorable.
Yeah, I would definitely say that that was a crazy adventure. Alright, one might say this is a crazy adventure as well. You managed Dan the Beast Severn in one of his fights.
It was, again, one of those moments which I'm very proud of. And actually, I didn't know anything about it. So on that show, this was a TCW show in Tokyo, and we had the very first match of the show. And after that, someone came to me, a Japanese wrestler, but he didn't speak English. And he was trying to explain this to me, that I will have this spot later on. As far as I know, this was the co-main event, but I'm not sure. And I didn't know what he was talking about because he was trying to explain it to me, but I didn't understand. And then I think it was Yoshitatsu who translated it for me, and he told me that I'm in that match too, and I will be in the corner of Dan Severn. It was a huge experience. It was a huge moment that I really enjoyed, and this is actually one of those moments which I cannot really believe that this actually happened, you know.
Right. How was your interactions with Dan?
Very good. Dan is a very nice person. We actually met earlier, so not on the night when the show was happening, but there was a guest night for VIP guests who could come with us and have a dinner with us and take photos and ask questions and stuff like that. And all the international wrestlers were invited there. So it was me, my Hungarian colleague Ron Corvus, 2 American wrestlers, and 1 British, and Dan Severn. And we talked a lot. He was very nice. He could share many stories. So it was something incredible.
No, other than excuse me, other than pro wrestling, you are actually a stuntman as well. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Now I'm thinking about the year, but I think it was 2017 when one of my friends, who is also a wrestler, a Slovak wrestler, he contacted me with this opportunity that there will be a movie shooting in Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia, and that they would be looking for wrestlers or people who can take bumps because the scene featured a fight in a ring. And the thing was that it was 3 wrestlers beating up the main character of that movie. But the main character was wearing a mask. So my job was to be the stunt double of this actor. So I got the same clothes as him, and basically the 3 wrestlers were not actually beating up him, but me instead. So yeah, as far as I know, it was in a boxing ring. So it was some heavy bumps there, you know. But it was, again, a very good experience. And since then, I was contacted for more appearances as a stunt double. But I accepted, actually, but I couldn't appear on any of them because the timing or the date was just in a very wrong place at a very wrong time, so I couldn't go.
will you be doing some stunt work in the future?
I'm actually open to it, yes. If something comes around, then yes, I'm willing to accept.
Okay. Now, can you tell us about the Gemini tattoo on your chest?
The Gemini tattoo is my one and only tattoo. I made it when I was 17. And for me, this symbol was important not only because I'm Gemini myself, but because what it is actually representing, the duality of everything. So how the good and bad is present always everywhere and in everything. And for me, this was at that time, and I still think the same this day, a very important aspect. So this is why I choose it.
Is there any plans for new tattoos in the future?
The thing is that I've been planning a second tattoo like right after the first one, but I couldn't really decide what should I put on myself and where. So yeah, it's still in plans, maybe one day, sooner or later.
So still kind of waiting for that inspiration.
Yes, because I have many ideas, like too many ideas, but at the same time, I don't want too many tattoos.
Okay.
But yes, as you said, I'm waiting for the right inspiration and the right moment.
Well, what was you thinking about getting for the second one at that time? Because you said that you had an idea for a second one.
To be honest, I don't even remember. But I think it was supposed to be an ancient Hungarian rune writing, like a script.
Interesting. Alright. Now, not a wrestling trip, but you actually went to Russia and you visited the famed Chernobyl. Can you tell us about your experience going in Chernobyl?
Yes, this was in Ukraine, not far from Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. And Chernobyl was, I think, the most interesting places that I visited, even though it is a site of a tragedy.
Right.
But actually, we don't really have a place like that anywhere in the world. And I was always fascinated by this story and how it all went down. So I really wanted to go there. And I remember that this trip of mine was kind of rushed because it just was a sudden idea, and I immediately booked a ticket and I went there from one day to the other, basically. And I spent some days in Kiev. Then I went to the zone, the exclusion zone, which was heavily guarded at that time. So we had to pass 2 times the military passing sites, sort of. And we spent one day there, from morning till the evening. We visited the Pripyat city. This is basically the famous ghost town that is featured in games and movies. The only thing is that you can no longer enter the buildings because they are dangerous. They can collapse.
Okay.
But outside of the city, there are still villages with smaller wooden houses that are still around, and you can visit those. So when you enter these places, you can still find items which people left there when they had to be evacuated. It was a very, I wouldn't say experience, but a unique one.
I can imagine. And there's still like radioactivity there, right?
There is, yes, but the amount of radiation is not dangerous anymore. So basically, if you will take a flight, let's say from London to New York, then above, you would be exposed to more radiation than if you spend one day near the reactor zone. The thing is that when this tragedy happened, then the radioactive particles were transferred with the burning smoke and the particles all around that area. We are talking about a huge area right now. And the thing is that if you, for example, go right next to the reactor, the sarcophagus, which I was standing next to it like 20-25 meters, that's actually not that bad in the means of radiation. But if you leave the reactor zone and even the city of Pripyat, and you go somewhere like to a forest or somewhere to the fields, then you can still find very dangerous hotspots. This is because how the particles were brought by the wind. Of course, you cannot leave the supervisors because it was a group trip organization, and you cannot go wherever you want to go. But there are still very dangerous hotspots, but even those are not lethal at the moment. So I asked this because I was very interested in it, and the supervisor who was with us told me that the most radioactive place, like far away from the reactor, is a hotspot where if you will stand 6 or 8 hours, like on that very spot, then most likely your lifespan would go to its half, let's say. So you will die much, much sooner, yeah.
All right. Very interesting.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, I think it's time for the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Big productions, all the producers, unlimited budget. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
First 3 songs on my movie soundtrack. Good question. Is it okay if I think about this a little bit?
Yeah, no worries. Would you like to go to another question until you think?
Yeah, if that's not a problem. You will like edit it and cut it out, I guess.
Oh no, it's fine. Now that we're workshopping the soundtrack, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays Ken? And you can't say yourself because you were obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
So who would play Ken?
Yes.
Let's say Chris Evans.
Okay, that works. Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people with meaning to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Well, depending on what the movie is about. But, I instantly think about my favorite actors. So I would really think about Denzel Washington being in there because the movie would be instantly great. Then I would say Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
And the third one would be Robert De Niro.
Okay. And who would they be playing in the movie?
Well, I imagine Robert De Niro being a mob boss, definitely.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves could be perhaps someone who is in the same storyline as me, like kind of a supporting figure. And Denzel Washington could either be the mentor of this group of Ken and Keanu Reeves, or he could be a very good villain at the same time.
Maybe a little betrayal game.
Yeah.
All right. And have you given thought to the soundtrack?
Yes. So when it comes to music, my taste for music is very wide. So I kind of listen to everything that is good. One of my favorite bands is Rammstein, and there's a song called Ich tu dir weh, and I really would use that song for sure.
Okay.
The second one is very different because in style it is completely on a different side of the table than Rammstein. But it will be from Hippie Sabotage, Devil's Eyes. And the third one would be a song perhaps from Glitch Mob, which has more electronic vibes in it.
All right. Well, a solid 3 picks to say the least. The movie itself is sounding like a good one, a blockbuster to say the least. And you could
Yes, definitely.
And you could pre-order the tickets now. Onto a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
It should be banned.
So banned. Nobody could eat it.
Yeah, that's a crime. That's a crime to commit.
Alright, so you are very anti-pineapple on pizza.
Yes, that's horrible.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Sorry?
What's your spirit Pokemon?
My spirit Pokemon, I would say Squirtle. I think he was my favorite Pokemon when I was a kid, actually.
Hell yeah. Now, weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
As long as the Rock is not heavy enough to crush me, then yeah, whatever it takes.
Okay. Well, just for context, there's a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks. Alright, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
To be honest, I don't know. And this is the part that I like about it the most. That I think right now I'm in a state of a position where I just go with the flow and I don't really have exact plans. Like I have visions, ahead of myself and many other ways where I think I could go. But at the moment, I like the way how things are going on with me. What I think I would go for is to focus more on wrestling, like in other countries, other places, to gain more experience. And I definitely want to return to Japan. So I think this is the only thing that I have in this 5-year of vision, that I will return to Japan.
All right. And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about as a pro wrestler?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
What is a match that people should go see that when it comes to Ken Pyro, that's the match they should see?
What I really want to focus on is the fact that I want to bring pro wrestling to a level of reality. Because right now, the education of pro wrestling in Hungary is on a top level. So we could even say that in continental Europe, so excluding the UK, Hungary is the second best place where anyone can get proper pro wrestling training. And because of this, I got some very good feedbacks. And what I really want to focus on, and what I think that people like when I do the matches, is the fact that there is this intensity and the necessary aggressiveness in it that should be part of pro wrestling, and where it is absent in many places.
And is there a match that you like people to see of yours that you could recommend for first-time viewers of Ken Pyro?
I would definitely say the match against Erik Strange at Art of Wrestling.
And that's on YouTube, correct?
It is. It was on the show called Upside Down, and it was in 2020.
Alright. I will grab that match from YouTube, and I will put a link to it in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round, or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Lutes.
Worst wrestler.
I cannot name a worst wrestler, to be honest.
Would you like our default answer?
Sorry?
Would you like our default answer?
Default answer?
Yes.
What do you mean?
If you don't answer, we have the answer for you.
Oh, like you're gonna put an answer for it?
Yes.
The thing is that the reason I cannot name a worst wrestler is because if I know someone who is in mainstream wrestling, then this means that they're already doing something good. Now, at the same time, if I should name worst wrestlers that I encountered or wrestled with, then at the same time, I wouldn't call them wrestlers, because mostly those were people who knew how to bump, and that's not wrestling. So, like this thing is like on the edge of how you can actually name someone, that who is a pro wrestler already and who is not.
I gotcha. Well, the default answer is Eva Marie.
Okay.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
The Undertaker.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
It will be the entrance music of Edge.
Which one?
The Metalingus from Alter Bridge.
Okay. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
important.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast. Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
A short match.
I will accept that answer. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
That's a strange question.
Yes.
To be honest, I always had long gear, so I never had trunks. Ever since I started wrestling, I always had only long gear, so I cannot answer this.
So, but I mean, for wrestlers that do wear trunks, how much butt cheek should show, in your opinion?
None of it.
Okay, so full coverage.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you as well.
Once again, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me mostly on Instagram. I'm active there, so all the matches, all the information are posted and updated on Instagram.
Alright, and you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link, a new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Give him a damn follow. And if you're at a show, buy a damn shirt. Right, of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Player One Coffee and Rogue Energy. Join us tomorrow as we interview Adrian Gomez. And follow the show and join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our very special guest, Ken Pyro, Coleco Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys, we appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.